Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Has Eddie Hearn scored a bit of an own goal by saying Anthony Joshua was confused ahead of the first Oleksandr Usyk fight? And is he sending a message to Joshua in public that his training situation really needs to be sorted out? So Eddie Hearn told The Sun. So here are the comments. He went into the first Usyk fight just confused, really. I remember when he was warming up for the fight and he had a pad of notes that he and the team had put together. He would be hitting the pads and every now and again he would go over and look at the book. The best AJ thinks, I know exactly what I'm doing. But to do that, you need a tutor. That's why Rob McCracken was so important for him. Remember when he boxed Klitschko, McCracken was a big part of winning that fight in rounds 5 and 6. As a fighter, you have to be able to look into a trainer's eyes and say, I am in trouble here, tell me what I need to do. Not to go back to your corner and have 5 or 6 voices telling you what to do. So quite a bit to unpack there. And I think from what Hearn is saying with some of those comments about the confused bit, the intent of those statements from Eddie Hearn appears to be that he's saying when Joshua's at his best, he performs, especially when he has clear instruction from his trainer or trainers in Joshua's case. I guess that can actually be said of any fighter, and things can change quickly once a fight begins and the other guy is having more success at implementing the game plan. After all, is it any wonder Joshua might have some nerves heading into a 3-belt showdown with an excellent southpaw, a stance that he rarely sees and has faced at the top level. But not only do the Hearn comments sound like an excuse in part after 2 losses on the bounce, there's actually a few holes that can easily be poked here in these statements. Say, for example, Hearn waxes lyrical about Robert McCracken, needing that voice, needing that tutor, it being so important to Joshua. But those statements do not account for reality. They don't factor in that McCracken was sacked off after he was in the corner for the first fight. He was there for the first Usyk fight. And Joshua also sacked Joby Clayton after that fight as well. But he chose to keep on Angel Fernandez as one of his main trainers. Joshua had seemingly lost confidence in McCracken and he wanted to go in another direction. And just to note, we've never had a proper explanation from that first fight as to why that Joshua tried to outbox the master boxer. At the time, in an interview on IFL TV, he just said you'd have to ask the training team. But we never really sort of heard boo from anyone. And in that first fight, he neglected a lot of his physical and natural advantages. And another thing that could be taken from Hearn's statements is that Joshua struggles with new ideas, that he has trouble retaining them. And right to the last minute, he had to consult the plans that had been drawn up to foil Oleksandr Usyk. It makes Joshua appear uncertain, needing reassurance, and Hearn seemingly is implying as much. But the funny thing for that second fight is, despite the early promises to drop the sweet science in favour of the old Joshua, these were Joshua's statements, the former champ basically replicated a safety-first strategy with a little bit more physicality in the second fight. It was a better performance. Most people have agreed that he fought better in the second fight than the first time, but it was mostly the same Joshua and it was the same result. And this was after bringing in Robert Garcia, a new voice, a new tutor. So Garcia, he worked with Angel Fernandez as trainers 1A and 1B. Those were the way Joshua had described it, 1A and 1B. That situation is what Joshua put in place. Hearn talks of too many voices, but Joshua created that environment, that situation with multiple voices, either for the first fight or the second fight. Joshua put the people that he wanted in place for his training and training camp situation for both of those Usyk fights. And while Hearn is not outright criticizing Joshua's training setup, he is saying something needs to change, that there needs to be fewer voices. But will Joshua listen? Will Joshua realize that creating bespoke training camps with multiple trainers serving different functions and roles is not serving him well anymore? Will Joshua realize that perhaps Angel Fernandez either needs to be the only trainer or he needs to go altogether in favor of a more seasoned trainer or just a different trainer in general? Will Joshua mull over the fact that isolating himself with his buddies and sparring partners at some random university facility with Joshua directing traffic and calling the shots is not propelling him forward, it's not getting the results and not getting the progression that he needs? Will he realize that he needs to perhaps let go? And I guess another thing that could be taken from some of Hearn's comments is he saying that Robert Garcia was not the tutor that Joshua needed? It's an open question. Will Joshua change? Or will we continue to have him saying all these things, getting deep and meaningful, spinning out hollow words of wisdom, and then telling us after the fact that something is not nice? Joshua's got some decisions to make. And Hearn is publicly prodding him here to try and make some decisions to benefit his career. But will he listen? Will he make change? And if he does, what will that change be? Drop a comment, loud and often, hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.